Welcome back. A closer look now at our top story, the Ebola epidemic. With more than 9,000 cases reported in West Africa, an online activist organization called Avaaz is gathering a pool of trained volunteers to work with medical organizations to send help. Joining us now is campaign director Alice J. and Megan Johnson, a nurse who is volunteering through Avaaz. Ladies, thank you both for being with us. I wonder if we could start with you, Alice J. Tell us about the campaign. Why did you start it?
Well, we've been given clear indications from organisations on the ground and governments that the most important thing was to get qualified professionals into the field as fast as they could. So we sent an email to our community. There are 39 million members, and we've seen an extraordinary outpouring of compassion and courage in just a week. 3,000 people, I think it's over 80 countries, have signed up to go. I think there's a paramedic from Mexico, a physician from South Africa, an epidemiologist from Sweden, and nurses like Megan who are saying we're willing to put ourselves in harm's way to serve humanity.
Nurse Johnson, how much do you know about where you're going, what you'll be doing, who, in fact, you'll be working for?
Actually, none of that has been decided for sure yet. I just filled out the volunteer form on Monday. So there's still a screening process that needs to be done to make sure that, one, that I'm one of the best candidates that could go, and of course the training. So there's still a lot of things that have yet to be decided.
You are an extraordinarily brave woman. This is a very dangerous journey into the unknown. I'm wondering, have you ever done anything like this before? Are you very worried about your own well-being? Because I don't have to tell you, there are brave men and women who are dying doing exactly what you've just volunteered for.
Well, I think I would be foolish not to have a certain level of, there's healthy fear, and then there's paranoia. But I think with the proper training, the proper equipment, someone like me could be very helpful. I do have the skills, some of the basic skills that I believe could help people. So, yeah.
Alice J. of Avaaz, I'm just wondering what you are telling, what your organization is telling potential volunteers. This is really dangerous stuff you're inviting people for.
Well, we're doing exactly what you've just said, which is saying there are unbelievably high risks here, and you have to be really sure that you want to do this, and then we are connecting those who say they, even despite those incredible risks, feel that they have a calling to go with the organizations who are the professionals on the ground who know, as Megan described, exactly what's needed in terms of training, equipment, so that they can decide if the person is really qualified to be deployed into this situation.
Well, I want to ask you about that, and I mean no disrespect to you or to Nurse Johnson, who's incredibly brave and good to be even considering this, but I have been to disaster areas where some people essentially invite themselves. They arrive on the scene without any kind of training, with nothing but goodwill, and they end up being more of a barrier to the people who are trying to help than any help themselves. Could you be, with the best of possible motives, unwittingly adding to that kind of problem with this kind of appeal to anyone in the world to put their name forward?
I don't think so. I myself have lived in Sierra Leone and know exactly what you're talking about. I have serious concerns about those sorts of people myself. I think in this case what's happening is we are providing a pool of seriously qualified professionals who will, I think as Megan said, have a very rigorous training if they are recruited. And in so doing, they will be in the most prepared situation they can to face this. At this point, this is exactly what is needed if we want to curb this crisis. And this is a global threat. If we want to curb this crisis, the last line of defense is getting enough qualified people into the region to be able to deal with it.
Does either of you know what will happen if Megan Johnson gets sick in West Africa?
The protocols and the procedures from the organizations with which the volunteers will be traveling are, as you can imagine, the best in the field. And what will happen is they have medical insurance and evacuation policies and emergency procedures, which are different with different organizations and will be applied in different organizations. But they are very serious and very stringent.
Nurse Johnson, we've been talking about you. Let me talk directly to you. What's most on your mind as you're about to start this trip?
I think obviously I'd be very interested to know what kind of training that I would receive before I would go. Like I said, there's still so many unknowns involved. When I would go, the extent of the training, and and how long I would be there, and yeah, how much use I could be. So there's still a process to be gone through. But like I said, if I can be of help, I would certainly like to be, and I will certainly have a healthy amount of fear going into this, and a respect for the Ebola virus itself.
Well, you have my respect, our thanks. It's incredibly brave and incredibly important what you're about to do. So Megan Johnson and Alice J. of Avaaz, thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the midst of this crisis,